Vahle. I'm a F-16 pilot. Prior assignments at Shaw Air Force Base as a F-16 suppression of enemy air defenses mission and a former F-16 instructor and test pilot graduate. In 2011, I was assigned to the 77th Fighter Squadron out of Shaw Air Force Base. Our primary mission was suppression of enemy air defenses, so that was our mission that we trained to on our doc statement. When we got through February, it looked like the Libyan civil war was picking up.
The first phase is to take out Gaddafi's air defenses.
A lot of other coalition assets that were providing the force necessary. Our squadron was particularly involved because we were on the global response force. Initially, it didn't look like we were going to deploy, but as we got towards the end of March, they executed the deployment order for us, and within a week and a half, we were executing combat sorties over Libya, launching from Italy. One particular mission in mid-April, we were tasked to take out an SA-2 SAM site in downtown Tripoli. It had been about 2 to 3 weeks since Odyssey Dawn had completed, and we hadn't executed any strikes on the SAM site, so we were concerned that the SAM site operator was going to reconstitute and start threatening coalition aircraft. And two, we wanted to send a signal to Gaddafi's forces that they shouldn't and they couldn't threaten air assets. So one of the things that went into this strike was that they delegated the authority to do the planning process to the aviators and the squadron. So that was on us to execute that planning process. We had a lot of concern with the collateral damage and the proximity, because it was in downtown, to plan it in a way that would mitigate as much collateral damage as possible. And one of the ways that I do that is I try to leverage as much experience and intelligence that I can gather from outside sources to help me reduce the amount of uncertainty in that planning operation. So I lean on intel, I lean on my flight mates, and I lean on other people who have experience in these matters. Originally, I didn't think I was the right guy to execute this mission, but the way I handle stress and uncertainty is I just try to figure out as much information as I can about the particular problem, and then I try to plan every possible contingency that could arise from that particular problem. When the target package comes down from the KAOC, it's up to us to plan the sortie or the mission to maximize our success and ultimately try to minimize risk to the formation. That doesn't just stop with the people and the pilots that are dropping bombs or whoever's executing the mission. There's a whole team of people that go beyond that. Some of the people that are involved that were part of the team is the ammo guys to see if we have the right munitions to execute that, the maintenance guys to see if the jets will be ready on time. Additionally, intelligence, making sure we have the right products, and aircrew flight equipment to make sure all our systems and our equipment is going to work. Everybody on the team needs to be on board with what we're doing. So that requires us to direct AIF and ammo and maintenance and intel on what they should be focusing their efforts on to help our chances of completing the mission. Once we came up with a plan with all the support assets properly coordinated, our next job was to pitch the plan up to the commanders, who would ultimately accept responsibility for whatever happened, whether it be a success or failure. One of the ways that we prepared for that was we leveraged the experience of senior officers that were in our chain of command and outside, so talking to guys at the KAOC and at Aviano Air Base who had previous combat experience. We sought their opinion and made sure that we had checked all our boxes and it was a solid plan that met the commander's intent. The mission, when we finally got to the execution day, was a complete disaster from the start. So we originally only had a 2 to 3 minute TOT window, and it was about a 2.5 hour drive from Aviano all the way down to the coast of Libya. Our first tanker fell out from a mechanical failure, and it didn't look like we were going to get a replacement for another hour and a half. So initially, right off the bat, we were not going to make the TOT window. So when we finally coordinated working with the KAOC for an additional tanker, we took off. We started working that one TOT extension, but also to secure the 2 other tankers we needed to get down to the theater. One of the ways that we do this is we trust each other and we rely on each other's experience. So in the formation, though I was the wingman at the time, we had been training together for the last 2 years. We were both highly experienced, and the fact that he was leading the formation didn't really matter. We were basically both working towards getting the mission completed. So talking to each other on the radio and basically dividing up the tasks. So as one person was coordinating a TOT extension on SATCOM, the other person was talking to the AWACS the tanker agencies to make sure that we got the appropriate gas to execute the mission. The flight took about 2.5 hours to get to the coast. In that 2-hour time frame, we were working in 2 additional tankers for ARCTs, but also working that TOT extension, talking to the kayak. So I was working that part of it outside our normal interflight communication, talking on SATCOM, trying to coordinate that TOT extension, and also trying to move other coalition assets out of the way for our strike on the SA-2 site. I could tell by the tone of my flight lead's voice that something was happening on AWACS frequency. So as I switched over, I could hear that basically an aircraft had taken off out of Libya, and we were enforcing the no-fly zone, so we were the closest assets to commit on that. So we were working with AWACS, coalition partners, and the kayak all simultaneously to, one, try to get the strike done, but also to try to enforce the no-fly zone, which would be committing on this air asset, or this threat that had taken off out of Libya. We got the commit call from AWACS, the frequency that my flight lead was on, to try to build my SA bubble and figure out where I needed to be to support him to accomplish this mission. So I could tell that we were transitioning from an air-to-ground to an air-to-air mission, so I initially moved all my systems and sensors over to an air-to-air mode. I double-checked all my air-to-air missiles, and I moved to formation so that we could be ready to intercept whatever threat had taken off out of Libya. We executed a intercept, and it turned out to either be a spurious track or the low-flying aircraft landed before into weapons range. But we ended up retreating back to the north, back to the IP. We moved back to an air-to-ground role, and we accomplished the mission within the TOT window that they assigned us with 4 direct hits on the SA-2 site. I've always believed that no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And knowing that helps me plan for different contingencies that may happen during the course of a mission or a flight. So one of the ways that you can prepare for uncertainty or contingencies is to try to gather as much information as you can given constraints on time, right? So what you can't do is spend all your time planning. You get into this like paralysis by analysis. At some point you need to move out and you need to execute the mission. But if you have the time, take as much time as you can to analyze the situation, leverage as much experience and intelligence and know-how to help you complete the mission.